Hi guys, TimH here, vlogging for gbposters.com. This time we'll review for The Hobbit. First of all, before I start talking, I should say that I am not a massive fan of Lord of the Rings. It's not something logical because I can see that they're well made, that they're well shot, well performed. I've just never really attached to it. I don't believe in the fantasy, I don't like the films, I just don't connect to the characters. So I went into The Hobbit with very mild expectations because I knew it wasn't going to be my thing. Having said all that, I actually did quite enjoy the film. It has its problems, but overall it's a good, fun fantasy film. I felt that the plot was simple enough that I could latch onto the characters and that I could understand what was going on. First of all, some of the things I really liked about the film are Ian McKellen and Martin Freeman. Their performances are really fun. I found Bilbo a likable character who I could root for, and Martin Freeman did a really great job at making things funny, literally just with a face or a look or a pause. I found the overall structure of the film, if not a little bit slow, it made sense to me. I knew where the characters were going, I knew what the end goal of the quest was. It did feel a bit slow. I struggled to sit through Lord of the Rings, let alone the extended edition. This felt like watching the extended edition of The Hobbit, the director's cut, on the big screen. Another problem for me is that despite the fact that I'm not a massive fan of Lord of the Rings, at least I remembered the characters. You had Sam and Frodo, who were best friends. You had Legolas and Gimli, and they had rivalry. And it led to us understanding these characters, knowing this fellowship quite well. And as a result, we cared more about them because we knew who they were when they got into peril or when things started happening. I can only name you Gandalf and Bilbo. Aside from that, I can tell you that there's a lot of dwarves in it, and there's a wise one, there's a kind of funny duo, and then there's a friend of the badass one. And I think in any kind of film where we're meant to spend the next 3 films with these characters, it's not a good sign if they're not even clearly defined enough that I can name them by name. The scene that does particularly stand out in the film is the scene with Gollum. When a film takes a break from the journey and the quest and just literally takes everything down and puts Bilbo and Gollum in the same space, and there's tension, and suddenly the film's tone changes, and because it's so nice and simple, as opposed to the epic scale of everything before, it was a really effective scene. On that note, Gollum looks better than he ever has before. If you didn't believe that he looked real in The Lord of the Rings, you will in The Hobbit. I would happily watch it again when it comes out on DVD, but I am just not a massive fan of this universe, and this has not suddenly convinced me, but at the same time, it hasn't turned me off. I think if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you'll probably enjoy it more than I did, but it's a good film. I will see you all soon. Miles' outro, and
that was the most awful thing I've ever had to do for you.
Head over to the GB Posters, they sell posters and other things, and it's good, so good.